We'll now call the Newton County Board of Commissioners meeting to order, March 17th, 2026. I'll ask Commissioner Henderson if he'll have our invocation, and if Commissioner Long would lead us in the pledge, please.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Most gracious Heavenly Father, we come before thee with thanksgiving in our hearts. We come just thank you for this day that we have seen, and once it's gone, we know we'll see it again, my Father. We thank you for just being God and being God all by yourself. We thank you for the blessings that we receive each and every day. We thank you. We never can thank you enough because you're just so good to us. This we pray in our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Everybody. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we adopt the agenda, I need a motion to amend the agenda. We are going to be taking item 10 and item 17 off of the agenda, and we're going to be adding to the consent agenda the approval of the modification of promissory note and loan agreement administered by GFA, and that loan number is DW 2021011. So if I could have a motion.
So moved.
Oh, I'm sorry, that would be 7B on the consent agenda. Okay, do we have a second?
So moved. No, Commissioner Long did it. You second.
Did you get that?
Well, no, you had seconded.
Second.
Okay. Okay. All in favor? Okay. Now we need a motion to adopt the agenda, please.
So moved.
Do we have a second? All in favor? Okay, thank you. Before we start with the public comments, we had a call from Commissioner Cooper. He is on his way to the meeting, but he is stuck in traffic, so he will be with us shortly. Now it's time for our public comments. This time allows the public to come up and speak, comment on any concerns or opinions regarding the agenda topics only. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes.
Dennis Taylor, Ellington Road. Item number 16, 15, possibly a couple more if I get to them. Somebody's gonna get grants, somebody's gonna get federal money, they're gonna get state money. Might as well be us. Newton County, one of the fastest growing in development in the state of Georgia and possibly the nation. Everyone's got to want the best roads to travel, best and safest roads to travel, and for the buses to carry our children back into the school to travel. Everybody's got to want clearing bottlenecks by widening roads, putting turn lanes in, and better intersections. The only way we can get that in Newton County is by grants, federal and state money, sales tax like SPLOST, and future T-SPLOST. And by pyramiding impact fees to the biggest developers that come in here and demand the most infrastructure. We should be charging them the 75 to 100% that the state allows to help us with infrastructure, because they're demanding it. Raising property taxes due to this is not an option in Newton County. It's just absolutely is not an option right now. It's too stressed out. We do that, we raise taxes for roads. Tax Commission's gonna be writing off a lot more property in the future and taking away a lot more property. So that's not an option. The second thing, I'm glad we're gonna get some talk about JDA tonight. We've never gotten that before in this county, never. All we got was a young lady, short dress, coming up here asking for more money in the past. And the one thing I like to know is where the money is gonna go. Is it gonna go and be part of the budget? Or is it gonna wait and figure out how to spend it later? And two, I like to know what the JDA has done to make sure we never get embarrassed in this county again with a federal indictment on someone sitting on that board. Thank you.
Good evening. I am a resident of Newton County, have been for 4 years now, and I am wanting to address item 16 that is on your agenda, widening or the road for sidewalks. I live at Brown Bridge and Jack Neely, and since I've been a resident of this county, I have seen at least 26 accidents at this intersection. The money that we are receiving to widen the roads for sidewalks, I believe should truly be used to place a light there. I actually witnessed a young man almost lose his life in my front yard. I've had people drive up in my yard almost within a millisecond of hitting my house, and my house sits back from the road. I understand that we want to use these funds to sidewalk is great, but I would like the county to please consider placing a light at that intersection. Thank you for your time this evening, and for the record, Aletha Caesar, Esquire.
Thank you. At this time, we'll close the public comments. We'll move down to item number 5. I don't have any reports. That's the report from the chairman. Item number 6 would be the reports from the county manager. Mr. Brown?
Good evening, Madam Chair, Commissioners. I would like to invite Brittany and Martin Jenkins to give the board an update on our audit.
Good evening, everyone. Hope you all are doing well. Again, my name is David Irwin, and I'm with Malden Jenkins. I was the partner who oversaw this year's audit of the county's financial statements, and I certainly appreciate the opportunity to be here with you all this evening to discuss with you all the results of this year's audit. You hear me all right? Okay. The purpose of tonight's presentation is to provide you all an overview of our independent auditors reports, talk about the 2 compliance reports that we issue in conjunction with the audit, hit a few of the financial statement highlights, discuss some information that the auditing standards requires that we communicate to you all, and then last but not least, to answer any questions that you all may have. Now, the financial statements themselves that have been presented to you all are the responsibility of management and members of the board. As your independent external auditor, our responsibility is to issue an opinion on these statements. We conduct our audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards and governmental auditing standards, And I'm happy to say that we are issuing a clean or unmodified opinion on this year's report. Again, this is what you want. This is the highest level of assurance that we can provide your external auditor. What this means is that, in our opinion, the financial statements are considered to be fairly presented in all material respects in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. Again, as part of the audit, there are 2 compliance reports that we issue, the first of which is the single audit report. The single audit is a compliance audit that is required when an entity has over $750,000 of federal expenditures in their fiscal year. The county had around $52.3 million worth of federal expenditures in FY25. As was the case with the financial audit, we are issuing a clean or unmodified opinion on the single audit as well. The second compliance report is the Yellow Book report, which is a report on the county's internal controls and your compliance with various laws and regulations. Again, the Yellow Book report does not express an opinion on internal controls. It reports whether we identified any significant problems during our field work. And, from an auditor's perspective, our role was not just to verify the numbers, but also look for weaknesses in controls or financial reporting that could result or create problems down the road. And I'm pleased to say that we have no audit findings reported to you all this year, meaning we noted no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in the county's internal controls during our audit. Again, as I've mentioned to you all before, for a county of your size, there is a significant amount of financial activity for which you all have to account for. In addition, given the volume of new accounting standards, reporting requirements, and really just the overall complexity of governmental financial reporting, achieving both a clean opinion and no audit findings is a significant accomplishment. It reflects a high level of discipline, consistency, and oversight in the county's financial operations. And again, that's certainly something that the board and management should be proud of. And to me, it's really just a testament to the hard work done by your staff. If you look at your financial statements, it's almost 200 pages long. So needless to say, there's a tremendous amount of time and effort involved in the audit process. Again, Brittany and her staff, once again, they did a great job this year. Worked hard to answer all of our questions. They really accommodated our audit team and got us all the necessary information in order for us to get the audit finalized on time. So again, just want to thank your staff for all their hard work again this year. Now for a brief overview of your financial statements. Again, you all prepare what is called an annual comprehensive financial report, otherwise known as an ACFR. Now, an ACFR requires the inclusion of additional information that goes above and beyond the basic financial reporting requirements. This document is submitted annually to the Government Finance Officers Association, otherwise known as GFOA, where they put it through a pretty stringent review process. And the GFOA review, it doesn't assess the financial health of the county. What it does is assess transparency, accuracy, and completeness. And through this review, the county has once again been awarded the Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. Again, this certificate reflects the county's commitment to transparency and, again, high-quality financial reporting. So, again, congratulations to you all on that. This is a very impressive document and certainly one that you all should be proud of. Before we get to the numbers themselves, I always encourage everyone to read the Management Discussion Analysis, otherwise known as the MD&A. This section begins on page 6 of your financial statements. It's written by management. It really does a good job of bridging the gap between the technical financial statements and the story behind those numbers. This section, it highlights major trends. It explains changes. It provides side-by-side comparisons of the past 2 years' financial activity. So, if you ever find yourself asking, why did this increase or what caused this change, oftentimes you'll find your answer within the MD&A. So again, if you can, I would strongly encourage everyone to read that section. Now, the county's basic financial statements are broken into 3 components, the first of which are your government-wide statements. The government-wide statements, they provide a broad view of the county's operations in a manner similar to that of a private sector business. So in this section, rather than focusing on individual funds, all financial activity are combined into two columns, depending on the nature of the fund. You have a column for your governmental activities, and you also have a separate column for your business type activities. But we have a slide here that summarizes the county's financial activity for the year from the government-wide perspective. But again, as you can see, the county ended the year with assets and deferred outflows of resources of around $548 million. Of that amount, around $300 million are your capital assets, net of accumulated depreciation. Again, capital assets, that's land, buildings, machinery, equipment, infrastructure, et cetera, that's owned by the county. Also included in total assets is approximately $180 million in cash and investments. Total liabilities around $160 million. Of that amount, around $137 million are long-term in nature, meaning they are not due within the next fiscal year. Looking at revenues, they total around $229 million. That's an increase of about $6 million compared to prior year. Expenses total $182 million, which is a decrease of a little over $17 million compared to FY24. So this resulted in an ending net position of approximately $387.4 million, which is an increase of $46.1 million for the year. So again, all in all, a good year for the county from an entity-wide perspective. The balance sheet's strong. You all are in a good liquid financial position to pay your current obligations. The combination of increased revenues and decreased expenditures contributed to the overall strengthening of the county's financial position during the year. So, when we look at governments from an audit perspective, we generally focus on liquidity, operating results, and your ability to pay your long-term obligations. And the county is in a strong position in each of these three categories. So again, certainly something for you all to be proud of. The second component of your financial statements are the fund level statements. This is what you all typically see through the year. This component focuses on individual parts of the government and reports your operations in more detail than that of the entity-wide. And, of all the county's funds, if I'm in your shoes, my primary focus is the general fund. Again, it's the main operating fund of the county. It's where the majority of your revenues are received and funds expended. But we have a slide here that summarizes the general fund's financial activity. We'll go into each of these in more detail over the next few slides. But again, as you can see, revenues exceeded expenses by approximately $3.8 million. There were a net other financing uses of about $6.7 million, which again is transfers to other funds. And that resulted in a decrease in fund balance of approximately $3 million for the year for the general fund. This chart breaks down the general fund's revenues. Again, total revenues were around $99.4 million. That's about a $3.6 million increase compared to FY24. Again, as you can see on this chart, obviously the vast majority of your revenues are derived from taxes, which total about $82.8 million for the year. And that represented around 83% of the total revenues of the general fund. And if you want to talk about taxes, that includes your property taxes, franchise taxes, sales taxes, et cetera. A couple other revenue sources worth mentioning. You all had charges for services of about $6.5 million and intergovernmental revenue of just under $4 million for the year. So again, overall, revenue performance was consistent with your budgeted expectations. This next chart presents the general fund's expenditures for the year. Again, total expenditures around $95.6 million. That's an increase of about $10.6 million compared to FY24. Again, as is typical with most governments, again, public safety represents a significant portion of these expenditures. Public safety was around $53.8 million, and that accounted for around 56% of the general fund's total expenditures. General government expenditures were around $15.4 million, and judicial expenditures were around $8.4 million for the year. So, from an audit perspective, there were really no unusual or unexpected expenditures that we noted during our procedures. Again, as I mentioned earlier, the general fund had net other financing uses of around 6.7 million. What this chart does is kind of break down those sources and uses. Again, as you can see, you all had proceeds from the sale of capital assets of around $84,000. You had transfers in from other funds of about $1.5 million, and you had transfers out to other funds of about $8.3 million, which was used to fund various capital projects. So again, overall, revenues and expenditures were in line with budgeted expectations. Revenues were approximately $1.6 million over budget, and expenditures were $3.2 million under budget for the year. So the general fund ended the year with a fund balance of approximately $58.2 million. This next chart shows the fund balance history of the year. Shows the fund balance history of the general fund over the past 5 years. Again, it's always kind of interesting to reflect back on where you were compared to where things currently stand. And, you know, as you can see here, fund balance has fluctuated during this time. And while it decreased this year, this decrease was a planned use of resources for capital projects. It was not an operational shortfall. You know, to me, what this slide shows is that the county, you know, you all have done a really good job over the past 5 years of increasing your fund balance, which again has provided you the flexibility to do things like you did this year, which again was fund capital projects. And again, as I mentioned before, you know, one thing I always like to remind people is that fund balance isn't what you all have in the form of cash for discretionary spending. You know, fund balance is the difference between assets and liability, only a portion of which is cash. You know, when you look at fund balance represents the county's liquidity, your flexibility, and your ability to respond to cash flow needs, emergencies, and unanticipated expenditures. Another thing to keep in mind when you talk about fund balance, the general fund incurs expenditures of approximately $8 million per month. So you all ended the year with an unassigned fund balance equal to around 7 months worth of your operating expenditures. And again, that's a strong fund balance, especially for you all to be a June 30 year end. So that's certainly something that you all should be proud of. And, you know, not to belabor the point, but, you know, governments that don't maintain an adequate fund balance often have to react to financial pressures rather than plan for them. And, you know, when you're reactive instead of proactive, that often leads to higher taxes, deferred maintenance, or having to borrow and incur extra debt. So in other words, fund balance is, you know, the difference between being financially stable and living paycheck to paycheck. And in addition, as I previously mentioned, property taxes represent a significant portion of your revenues, and they're cyclical in nature. So again, a strong fund balance provides you the cash flows necessary to cover expenditures during months when revenues are lower than they are at other times during the year, which for you all again would be you know, July through October, July through November. As you can see on this slide, again, other reasons it's important to maintain a strong fund balance to cover significant emergencies and unanticipated expenditures. It provides the county with the flexibility to fund discretionary spending. There's a potential for better interest rates when the county issues debt, which again would save you all money. And it's definitely important in uncertain economic times. So, you know, again, the county's fund balance, it reflects disciplined budgeting and conservative financial management. And again, that's certainly something that that management, the board, and really everyone involved with the county should be proud of. A couple other funds I want to briefly mention are the county's two major enterprise funds, which again is your water and solid waste funds. Enterprise funds are used to account for operations in a manner similar to that of a private sector business. The goal of these funds would be self-sufficient, meaning to generate sufficient operating revenues to cover your operating expenses. So this chart shows the revenues and expenses, the operating revenues and expenses for these two funds. You know, again, as you can see, the water fund had operating income of around $3.6 million. The solid waste fund had an operating loss of around $1.3 million. but it also had transfers in from other funds of around 1.7 million to offset that loss. But when you look at your solid waste fund, we do recommend that you look at ways to either increase revenues, reduce expenses, or a combination of the two, just to improve the solid waste fund's overall financial position, and again, in order to hopefully be self-sufficient. So again, that is certainly something that we recommend that you look into. It's nothing necessarily to be worried about at this time, but it's more about again being proactive instead of reactive. So again, that's certainly something that we recommend for you all. One final item to discuss is just what the auditing standards requires that we communicate to you all. Again, the county is receiving a clean opinion and no audit findings. We received full cooperation from management and staff. We had no disagreements with management that would have affected the financial statements. There were no uncorrected misstatements. And again, we are independent of the county as required by governmental auditing standards. And again, our independence is what gives this report credibility. If we were not independent of you all, our opinion would not matter. So, and with that, unless anybody has any questions, that concludes my presentation. Again, there's a lot of information in your financial statements. What I tried to do is just hit the highlights, what I think is of most importance to you all. But I will close by saying that you all are in a strong financial position. Again, the board sets the tone and management executes. And to me, this report reflects that partnership. So we certainly appreciate the opportunity to be of service to you all, and look forward to working in the future.
Any questions? Commissioner Edwards?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Could you do me a favor and go back to the revenue pie chart? There we go. So, and it's an easy question, right? So, in your opinion, working with municipalities and other counties, how does this chart compare to those folks in terms of how those numbers break out?
The percentages are right in line with what we typically see. There was really nothing unusual that we noticed. Again, our focus oftentimes is on fund balance. Revenues is a one-year snapshot. Fund balance reflects a greater period of time than just 1 year. But no, when you look at your revenues, again, they increased this year. And look at the pie chart again, there was really nothing that is unique or unusual.
So I thank you for that. I always like to have a reference in terms of other communities, counties, cities, what have you. So it doesn't seem like you were here a year ago. For some reason, it seemed like 3 months ago you were here. But it's always nice to hear good news, especially about our finance department. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is no findings for many, many years in a row. So, thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Commissioner Henderson?
Thank you. Could you go back to the solid waste? You were saying that that we should, we should add more money, give more money to solid waste.
You all have an operating loss. And again, as I mentioned, that loss is offset by transfers in from other funds. So the solid waste fund is having to rely on these transfers in from other funds to again, offset these operating losses. And we just recommend you and this is really, this is something that should be done periodically, obviously. It's just to reevaluate your revenue sources, reevaluate your expenses, and just, again, look for ways to improve your operations. And again, whether that be increased revenues, reduce expenses, or a combination of the two.
Right. I was told back when the solid waste was moved from the Board of Commissioners to its own enterprise, it was because of about $500,000 that always occurred in it. And by putting it as an enterprise fund, they could, in my understanding, that they could do what we did and they could stand on their own within, I guess, a few years. And there's been several years, and we're still being asked to put more money into it when when it should have stayed, in my opinion, under the Board of Commissioners. And that way you could probably, in my opinion, justify it, us for giving maybe additional monies to it. The monies that the solid waste takes in, it doesn't even affect the budget at all, but yet we're taking taxpayers' money, putting into it, and they're not getting anything back. So I just, it's just hard for me to comprehend or think of every year we're looked at to give more and more money to a fund that really should, in my opinion, be on the Board of Commissioners. And I'm hoping at some point the board will come together and we just look at not only the solid waste, but all the rest of the funds and see if they need to come back under the umbrella of the Newton County Board of Commissioners. Thank you.
Okay. No more questions? Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Appreciate it.
Oh.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Commissioners. I would like to invite Commissioner Edwards and Sarah from the JDA to give a presentation.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, I'm Sarah Hall, the young lady who is not asking you for money tonight, but here to give you an update. Thank you for having myself and then Commissioner Edwards being here, who sits on the JDA. I'm going to begin and then move over to Commissioner Edwards to kind of wrap up in some pieces here. But I wanted to start with that the Joint Development Authority currently has 3 tenants within its park: Stanton Springs South, Stanton Springs North, Takeda Pharmaceuticals, Metadata Centers, and then Rivian to the north. Currently, Takeda is at full operation, full employment, 1,500 plus employees at this time. They are still utilizing the Bioscience Training Center. Meta has completed both campuses. I want to say a big thanks to Ms. Shayna Applewade and the team over in Planning Services. They have done all the permitting for both Meta campuses and have been incredible to work with, both with a large-scale team, and so we're very thankful for that. As you know, when Meta is now complete, fully of their funding starts to come in, and so we'll see an increase of pilot payments coming in their direction. Along with that, the Rivian site is under construction. Deep utilities are going in. You've seen the water tank by the Newton County Water and Sewage Authority out at exit 101. Substations are being built. Georgia Transmission bringing in transfer lines. Permits are being filed. So all of those things are happening with the anticipation that you will see a significant active construction coming up this spring into the summer, and then about an 18 to 24 month rollout of the Rivian project. There will be some contractor days, other things for other vendors to get involved very soon. Clayco Construction is building the site itself. Along with that, I think that the last thing, and I'll turn it over for financial, is that I just want to say a big thank you to Brittany White and also Miss Marty Kennard, Veronica Hardy, and the team in the tax assessor's office, as well as Commissioner Bennett. They all took a significant amount of time, and just to make sure they were updated, knowing where funding was going, they spent time with our finance team down at the JDA, Andrea Gray, their attorney, and just made sure that they were up to date, knew where the funds were going, since this is very important. And again, I think it's timely that you see a pristine audit from the finance department to show how much they care, right? They're making sure, double, triple checking, utilizing those partners. And so I just really appreciate those teams coming together of the 4 counties to come back in and see that. So I'll save the piece for financials to Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Sarah, and we appreciate the job you do down there for us. Madam Chair and my fellow commissioners, you guys put me on the JDA probably a year ago, I guess it was now. So I just wanted to cover to date the revenues from Stanton Springs, and before I do that, let me differentiate between the two. We've got Stanton Springs North and Stanton Springs South now. What we all know is Stanton Springs South is the original Stanton Springs. Stanton Springs North will be the Rivian portion, mostly in Morgan County. So, and let me, before I give you these numbers, let me go over the breakout for you, the county breakouts for that revenue from Stanton Springs. Newton and Walton counties receive 37.5% of those total revenues each. I believe that would work out that way because most of the land is in those two counties.
And it's what you put in the financials in the beginning.
Yes, and what we put in terms of revenue, money in the beginning. And then we've got Morgan with 15% and Jasper at 10% of the current payments. Now those percentages will change with Stanton Springs North, if I'm correct. So to date, when I say to date, I mean as of December 31 of 2025, there's been revenue paid to the counties, $54,481,000 and $481,564. Okay, so that breakout for Newton County, for all counties, for Newton County, that total comes to $20,149,913. That's what that comes to, and that's the 37.5%, of which the Board of Education of our total is that total of ours again is $20 million, just over $20 million. The Board of Education receives 58% of that at $7,987,121. Now that math is not correct because there were some funds shared with the counties only, in the beginning, I believe. Is that right, Sarah?
Prepaid debt payments to
Right.
fund land sales, things of that nature that the schools, but again, the money you put in, they made sure that money was coming back out. And so that's a little bit of a differentiator there.
So if that money had not been paid in the beginning, their portion would be more than the BOC's portion. And I'm calling it the BOC's portion. It's actually Newton County's portion. So the Board of Education portion was $7,987,121, and the BOC or Newton County's portion was $12,162,292, which would have been 42%, except for those fees we just talked about. Now those numbers are high. They're not high level. They're pretty accurate. So if I find out otherwise, I will let you know. But I wanted Sarah and normally Jerry Silvio with accompany Sarah to do these readouts, but we haven't had one in a while. I don't think so. I thought it was time, especially since I sit on the JDA, that we come back and talk about those revenues. And those revenues go to our general fund. They go straight to our general fund to help with our budget. So I believe these pilot payments started, what year, 2022? 2021.
You would have seen it in your budget.
So we've been shoving those monies into our bottom line budget since 2021. And there's more coming this year. So I think $8 million total here before long. So as soon as I have another update on that, I will let you know. But I wanted to give you guys a readout of what's coming and kind of educate you a little more on what the dynamics are down at Stanton Springs. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank y'all. Thank you. Oh, wait, we have a question. Commissioner Henderson?
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. I guess I'm kind of the old man was kind of here when a lot of people in the press were saying that we just went out and started joint authority. And in Newton County at one point, we were paying all the money because the rest of them said we don't want a part of it because it's somewhat of a disaster. And so now finally, over the years, we finally start getting a little bit of money coming back to the county. It was my understanding back then, maybe I'm just getting old, it was those monies that from the Joint Development Authority was supposed to go back and help the taxpayers pay taxes, pay on the taxes, bring down the taxes, and it never did. And I say all this, not as kind of being mean, I said because that was the intent. And I just hate I'm the only person up here to kind of talk about it. And I can't forget it. And my heart won't let me say, well, I just forget about it and let them spend it where they want to. It's supposed to go into a separate fund. And then whatever it is, the pile of money, you take it and say, well, if it ain't but $100 in my simple math thinking, divide it amongst the taxpayers and see what maybe you can bring in something. But that's what I thought we want it to be. But as we got money, it went to general fund. Once it hit the general fund, boom, you don't see nothing. You don't know where it went. You know where it went to. And I think we should hold me and the board all accountable to what we said a few years back and make it happen today, on this date. Thank you.
Well, I'll respond to that, Commissioner. The general fund is how we fund all of our other budgets. That money goes in there. So it does relieve the taxpayers. If there's an increase, and I had a conversation with a constituent not too long ago, if there's an increase in taxes, the increase in that tax would have been much more had it not been for these funds. So it is going back in the taxpayers' pockets. It's going to help fund our annual budget since 2021. So,
Commissioner Long.
Maybe we could, I know I have seen a chart where we showed that this revenue coming into our general fund did several years help us. We did some rollbacks, and then we also did some where we didn't have to do anything to the millage rate because of these funds. So I think, I don't know if these are on the JDA website or something, but I would like to see these numbers in writing somewhere. So when we have statements like that come up, we can show people that it did go to the bottom line. It did go. And I remember seeing this, and I think you brought it to me when I first became a commissioner, is where those funds went and how we offset the millage rate by these funds. So I know it's out there because I saw it. And I think we need to do a better job of getting your website updated with those numbers, because we do have people thinking that it's not doing anything, and I know it is. So I think we need to have a better transparency. You know, I'm all about putting everything out there. So having the transparency so we can show people, and Commissioner Edwards, I remember you showed me also several years where we did a rollback, and we also were able to keep it even during our economic problem times that we had. So I think let's get it out there, and that way there's no question about where the money, and these numbers too can be presented. I don't think it should not be secret. It should be out where everybody can find it. And I know it's not secret, but it's not easily to be found.
I think that becomes a matter of just simply asking. We can ask Brittany, say, hey, Brittany, what did we get total? And I've done it. What did we get total from Stanton Springs last year in fiscal year 2025? And that number can be found. So I mean, and it just goes to the bottom line budget. So
I just want to add one more.
Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you. I just want to add one other thing. See, I was there when we sat down and voted for Commissioner Edwards, and not to say that what you're doing is right, but I know what we said, and they were supposed to help our taxpayers. And I was just really happy about it. But it just took so long. And so because it took so long, people start having doubts, and you call and get the more crazy telephone calls at home saying you ain't doing that, you said, damn, we getting all this debt. And when we finally get some money coming in, we put it in the general fund. The general fund can survive by itself, because how as our taxes are, shoot, man, we should have more than 54 million. Should be about 100 million up there that you can buy anything that you want, in my opinion. But I don't believe in lying, and you was not here, so I can't say. I don't be in line. When I said I was going to try and do something, I'm going to do it as best I can, even if I get criticized for it. I'm going to try my best to make it happen. But I think since we start talking about it a little bit, it needs to be put in a separate account, like all the other money that come in from somewhere, and then use it as you need it.
you know, the problem is, and now I'm going to put my commissioner hat back on. The problem is these projects come to Newton County, and I was aware of why they came here. I was not here when JDA was set up, Stanton Springs was set up. My opinion is we should not look for new projects to spend this money on. This money needs to go back right out here to these taxpayers every single year, or because in most years we see a tax increase whether we keep the millage rate the same or not, right? So we have to we shove this money back into our budget So the increase, instead of a 5% increase in my taxes, it's a 2.5% increase in my taxes. It's a relative thing, or at some point maybe a decrease in the taxes. I don't know. The city government is talking about decreasing taxes with some pilot payments, but or actually doing away with some taxes with pilot payments. But we don't get that amount of revenue to do that. But what we do get helps our citizens on an annual basis, and by reducing the amount of taxes they have to pay.
Commissioner Mays, excuse me.
Can I just follow one? We did a tax abatement. In other words, instead of we were paying more taxes as citizens for the JDA, we were paying more taxes, and then by the time for a little bit of money to come in, and then they said we giving you something. They're not giving us nothing.
We haven't been paying taxes on their behalf.
We did tax abatement, so that means they weren't paying their part of their tax.
Well, I'll tell you
but
this,
I'm not.
property
Look here,
was sitting down there
Stan, let me
making
say this. Let me say this.
$0 a year.
Let's have a debate. Set a date. Come here. Let's have a debate on what you're talking about and what I'm talking about.
Well, I can tell you this.
Give me a date.
Now, I'm in favor of leaving. I'd rather have woods and cows and pastures, right? So, but when that property was woods and cows and pastures, it was generating $100,000 a year in taxes, maybe. Now it's generating since 2021, it's generated $55 million. So split between the counties for their percentages. And the money's going to exactly what it was supposed to go to, and that's going to our bottom line taxes, just like the original Board of Commissioners and all the counties decided to do. So that's how it's being spent. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I think Commissioner Mason had a question. Oh, you don't? Okay. Oh, he wants to make a statement. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to put it on record, I know when I came in back in 2019, we were at 13.4 for millage rate. We're currently at 8.6. And so I want the residents to know and to understand that this board has worked diligently to ensure that we're doing our part from our desks to help provide a level of relief to our residents. So going from 13.4 for a millage rate down to 8.6, that's a drastic change. We've also stated, it has been stated before, well, just because our millage rate increase doesn't mean that my taxes decreases. We understand that formula as well, because your property value increases. So when your property value increases, that potentially increases your property taxes. Not that this board is increasing your property taxes. So I want to provide clarity. The Board of Commissioners are not increasing your property taxes. That is not our goal. If you may not have realized, I think us that's sitting up here, we pay property taxes as well. And so we want to make sure, because we are stakeholders as well, we want to protect ourselves as well as our residents. And so this board, I think, has done what they could do. And of course, there's always room to do more. And keep your eyes and your ears open. There's things that we're working on behind the scenes to do our best to be able to help our residents even more. But we have to work through those things before we can say, hey, here's another option where we can help. But I want our residents to know this board is not trying to increase property taxes. Once again, we've gone from 13.4 for a millage rate to 8.6. That is a decrease. That's not an increase. It's a decrease in the millage rate, which means the less amount of property taxes that we incur. And we have to still try to provide the same services with less amount of property taxes that we're generating, meaning that, law enforcement, tax commissioner's office, roads, bridges, all of those same services that we provide, even though we went from a 13.4 for a millage rate down to 8.6, the services never stopped. The needs never stopped. So we're doing our best to make sure that we are trying to do as much as we possibly can with the least amount, which is why we try to run a lean budget to the best of our ability. So I just wanted to make sure that that was on record as well. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. We'll move to item number 8, and that's the consideration of Newton County Sheriff's Office acceptance of opioid settlement funds. Oh. Okay. We need to go back to item 7. I need a motion to adopt this, to approve the consent agenda. Do we have a second? All in favor? Okay, thank you. Now we'll move to number 8. Consideration of Newton County Sheriff's Office acceptance of opioid settlement funds. And I believe Mr. Brown is going to present that.
Yes. Good evening again, Madam Chair, Commissioners. This is a opioid funds that we received from the opioid settlement. One of the components that could be utilized is to help fund the co-responder that is assigned to the Sheriff's Department to help out with individuals who have been identified, have been opioid dependent, to try to get them help as much as possible. So what we would like to do is the request is to spend $48,000 to bring on a second co-responder to help pay for that second, for the benefits and salaries for that individual.
Okay, do we have a motion? Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, that was unanimous. Thank you. Now we'll move to item number 9. That's consideration of the 2026 estimated millage rate for the FY27 budget. And that'll be presented by Brittany White, our finance director.
Good evening. If you will recall, last year, one of the changes to House Bill 581 made us put an estimated rollback millage rate when the assessment notices go out. So tonight we need to vote on a millage rate to go out on the assessment notices. This by no means means this will be the final millage rate. At this point, our budget is very preliminary. The digest is also very preliminary because there's probably going to be a lot of exemptions that flow in. But at this time, myself and the county manager recommend a 9.5 millage rate to go on the assessments. Are there any questions?
Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, Brittany, last year,
Yes.
can you hear me now? Anyway, so last year, I think we set this at 10.
10.
It's just it's not an arbitrary number, but it's an arbitrary number, right? Right.
Correct.
So it's something we required by law to do, and we didn't go with 10 last year. So
No,
obviously.
we went very much lower than 10.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Long.
Thank you. This is something that always just irks me that we have to do this, and I understand why we have to do it because the state tells us we have to do this. I was not happy with 10 last year and kind of pitched a little fit, so I think we are going down to 9.5, but to me, I think that I guess that number has to be, it cannot go over that number, so this is why everybody wants to predict this number higher than it should be. Is that correct?
If you have to end up adopting a millage rate higher, then there's a statement that has to be put on the actual tax bills when they go out. So they do recommend going possibly a little bit higher than you intend to adopt.
It's just to me, it's a terrible policy, but I know it's
I
not
agree.
something we made up. It's something that the state is making us do, right? Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes.
So that's why we went with 9.5 because 10 was really overstated last year. Okay,
Correct.
thank you.
Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I concur. I think this process is not the best, but of course, when legislation is passed down from the state and says that you have to do this, and it's a requirement, then legislatively, this is something that we must do. And I thank you for reiterating that even though we're having to set it at 9.5 right now does not mean that when everything is done and everything is all over and we adopt a millage rate that is going to be 9.5. What we've seen in the past, like we did 10 mills last year, we ended up adopting 8.6. So I just want to bring clarity that just because of what the state is mandating us to do today, and we are saying, hey, we're adopting a 9.5 or we're stating that it's going to be 9.45 doesn't mean that's the final millage rate for this board. So thank you for clarifying that. And I want to make sure that that is clearly stated, because I don't want anyone that's watching or anyone that's here to say the Board of Commissioners is now going to make the millage rate 9.5, because if that is the case, that's inaccurate information. It's misleading information. And we want to make sure that our residents are clear in this process. So I just wanted to add that. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner said was the 8% something. There was a rollback.
We have no idea what the rollback is right
For
now.
last,
So
not
that
now,
will
but
be-
tell me,
say that one more time. I'm sorry.
it was 8.6 that I was referring to.
That's current millage rate.
Okay. We said about a 10, I think Stan said a 10. The rollback rate ain't nothing but a tax increase. You have to post it, say this is an increase. Transparency. That's all I'm saying. I mean, I think the citizens of Newton County need to know the truth.
What is the truth?
A rollback is a tax increase. If it may, hey, look here, may I, Madam Chair, speak, and then everyone who wants to speak, raise their hand and speak in turn, please. And that's what it is. And now, the taxes are higher than they ever have been with a rollback. We said it's increase. Let's just be candid to the voters of Newton County. I mean, I'm not all that, but I believe in telling the truth. It's time the citizens of Newton County, when it comes to their taxes, and they're high, and I'm one too, just like everybody on this board, need to just know the truth. We need to bring them together. And I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna shut up. When we was talking about it, and this older lady came up there and she said, well, if y'all go up on my taxes with this rollback, she said, I'm gonna lose my house. She was crying. And we all voted, with the exception of myself. I didn't vote for it. And I said, if I get 2 more commissioners to go with me, I said, just two more commissioners, we can change this thing. Then it was said from this board, said that we already done voted on it. It's not gonna change. Well, let's start doing things so the citizens have time to chime in on it, so it maybe will change. Thank you.
Commissioner Long.
Okay, I'm gonna need some deciphering of what all that was about, because I don't understand any of that. Maybe we need to have some financial lessons up here. But so since when somebody's saying you're not telling the truth, Brittany, and I know you are telling the truth, so the reason why we're setting this, and we've already dissected this 3 or 4 times now, Commissioner Mason, Edwards, myself, we have to set this rate. Okay, this is not the millage rate. And everybody works very hard to make sure that just about everybody on this board works very hard to make sure that we keep the taxes as low as possible. So as far as the evaluations that we just talked about, everybody keeps talking about the taxes going up. The taxes, the 8.6 is the same. My personal house went up $230,000 in 5 years in value. Okay, that's where your tax increase comes from. It comes from your valuations. I'm in real estate. Values have been insane for the last couple of years. But the good news is we're seeing some leveling off of values. We're not seeing these values creeping up as high as they were for the last 5 years. So that will in turn help people. Okay, but we cannot control an evaluation. If the house down the street from you sells for $500,000 or $200,000 or whatever the number is, then your house is going to go up. Most people want their house to appreciate. That's their biggest asset in their life, is their house. But on the other side of it, flip side of it, is we don't want to pay taxes on it. I think everybody feels exactly the same about that. So as we're going through these budgets and we're saying that we cannot fund everything that everybody wants, the other day when we had the budget hearing, it was $20 million that was requested just from constitutional officers. $20 million. They asked for 20 million in one setting. Okay, we're not doing 20 million. So I just want you to know that everybody asks for as much as they think they need. And we have to do the hard job of going back and say, we're not funding 20 million. I don't know what 20 million would be on a millage rate, but I don't think it would be very good. So I want people to understand that there's no lies being told or anything. I get so tired when I hear people that understand the process or should understand the process saying that somebody's not telling the truth. We are telling the truth. We cannot control the values. You do not set the values. This board does not set the values. That would be the tax assessor's job to do that. So I just want to make sure this is clear. Thank you for telling the truth and doing exactly what you're supposed to do.
Do we have a motion? Second? All in favor? Okay, thank you. Thank you. Yes. That was unanimous. Thank you. Now we'll move to item number 11, consideration of Keep It Clean softball umpire services contract. I believe you have 11 and 12, and that'll be presented by Dwayne Mask
Thank you,
and
Madam.
Kale Curtis.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Good evening, Commissioners. So what I'm, the first one seeking right here is just approval for a contract for our umpires for our girls softball and also our adult slow pitch. We're changing organizations. We're not changing how much we're being charged for the officials. So we're just changing organizations for this. I'm just looking for approval for that.
Do we have a motion? Second? Discussion? All in favor? Okay, that's unanimous.
Thank you.
You want to present your next one?
Okay, the next one, we are seeking approval to replace the playground, the existing playground at Trailblazer Park. That's the original playground that was installed somewhere around 2001, 2002, somewhere in there. So all we want to do is upgrade that. This is a county park, so that's what we're looking for approval to upgrade that playground there.
We have a motion. Second? Okay. Any discussion? Commissioner Henderson?
Thank you. There was one of the, I think there was the first playground that we had worked with the board to have placed over at Trailblazer Park. And one of the good things about it was that we called in the community. We didn't just say, well, hey, it's what JC want to do. We called in the community and we had a meeting. And that's the way I like to do things. And they told the recreation department, I forget this who came in, but we told them exactly what we wanted over there. And even down to the name, and they named it the Trailblazer Park. But I said all that to say this. There was a park, a very beautiful park, and it's on a very beautiful street. And we just, keep it up. And it makes me feel good that we're going to spend a little bit of money. I'm hoping to fix up the whole playground by being in town. Don't go down so regular, maybe 3 years or 4 years, 5 years, then you have to go back to the board automatically. He'll be fixed back up. Yeah. Thank you.
Sir. It's definitely going to be a nice playground.
All in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. Thank you so much. Okay, now we'll go to items 13, and I believe that will be presented by Chester Clegg. Consideration of project framework agreement.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I think you have several on here, so.
Yes, the first one is the board has received $2 million in grant for the widening of Brown Bridge Road for the preliminary engineering phase. And in order to utilize that, the board, the chairman has to sign what they call a project framework agreement with GDOT, and requesting that the board authorize the chairman to do that. It's $2 million.
We have a motion. Second. Any discussion? Commissioner Mason?
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is much needed. I think everyone knows that, you know, when you get to Brown Bridge and when you get to the whole Salem corridor, it's heavily congested. And so I'm excited that we are now expanding Salem Road or 162 to 4 lanes, and now having an opportunity to expand Brown Bridge as well. I think once we get through these projects, we're going to see some relief when it comes to traffic. And so I'm very excited and glad that we were able to get this funds so that we can go ahead and expand Brown Bridge in that area. And hopefully we can continue. You know, our county is growing by leaps and bounds. And so now we're having to really invest into infrastructure all across the county. But I know that this particular area is a highly dense area. And so it is great that we are now finding ways to invest dollars into the infrastructure by expanding these roads. And so thank you, Chester, for this work. Thank you, Madam Chair.
All in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. We want to go to item 14.
Yes, ma'am. The second item is the Public Works Department would like to purchase several truckloads of culvert pipe, as we've been using it. Our forces have been putting pipe in, and then we've got some contractors need to put some pipe in for us on some projects coming up. So we're requesting permission to buy $150,000 worth of culvert pipe, various sizes.
We have a motion. Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, that's unanimous. We'll move to item 15.
The third item is the Fairview Road. Let's see. Let's make sure. Yes. The third item is Fairview Road multi-use trail. We are trying to move to the right-of-way phase, and we are requesting funds from ARC to cover purchasing right-of-way for that project. And we're requesting $1.275 million for that purpose.
Do we have a motion? Second. Any discussion? All in favor? Okay, it's unanimous.
Thank you. And the final item that Public Works has is the same thing with the Brown Bridge Road widening project. We want to move to the right-of-way phase of that project, and the estimate is $4.8 million. There's 80-something parcels that we have to acquire a portion of. So we're submitting an application to GDOT to ARC, Atlanta Regional Commission, to requesting the $4.8 million, and we need board approval to do that.
Do we have a second? Do we have any discussion? Commissioner Edwards? Oh, okay. All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you so much. Okay, we'll move to item number 18. Consideration of grant agreement between Newton County and ViewPoint Health. And that will be presented by Mr. James Brown.
Good evening again. This is a recommendation to disbursement of $50,000 to the ViewPoint Health for opioid-related treatment for individuals who need assistance.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor? That's unanimous. Thank you. And I believe you have the next one. Item number 19, consideration of Reeves and Young Professional Services Agreement.
Yes, this is the second reading of this particular project for the Cornish Creek Water Treatment Facility expansion from $25 million to 39.5. The cost is $172,655,099.
Do we have a motion? Second? Any discussion? Commissioner Henderson?
Thank you. This is just for my information purposes only. Where would that money be coming from?
Most of the money will be coming from other funding sources, and we did receive a grant, ARPA grant. We received total for the community of $234 million. So most of that would be coming from that and other sources.
All in favor? Okay, thank you. That was unanimous. We'll go to item 20. And that will be the first reading of an alcohol license for Covington Market LLC, 5485 Highway 81 South, Covington, Georgia, 30014. Now we'll go to the public comments. Each person can speak on any topic that they would like, and they would have 3 minutes. If you just please give us your name.
My name is David Hopkins, and I too live on Brown Bridge. I'm just concerned about the traffic that widening that road is going to bring. I already have trouble getting out of my driveway. I've almost gotten hit twice because of people flying out of that turn at Jack Neely. That road really do need a light right there. People pull up in front of your door, they block you. So by the time traffic clear, you got so much traffic coming from the other way already that you still can't get out. So my concern is about widening Brown Bridge. And then all the construction that we're getting in the area is causing an overlap of traffic. I mean, I know the county got to grow, but it's just too much construction. It's too much. Every little crack and cranny that's over there, they're putting apartments, houses, and it's just getting overcrowded. I came out here for peace. Now our crime rate has went up. Not only have our crime rate went up, accidents have went up, which causes our car insurance to go up. So that's my concern. And I just think y'all should consider some of the things that are going on before making all these decisions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dennis Taylor, Elton Road. We all know we spend tens of millions of dollars in Newton County reacting to crime after crime is committed. The voters in Newton County in the last two SPLOST gave the county an ideal opportunity to be a model for youth and our young people in the county by approving money for a youth center. We got bad people out there, drug dealers, gang leaders, sexual predators, sex slave kingpins, trying to become models for the young people in Newton County. And for that reason, I am 100% behind the West Side Youth Center. Not only that, but encourage the board to find and purchase land while we still got some for a future East Side Youth Center. These young people, the county become a leader, a model for the young people in our next generations. Youth centers will cut crime. It's a proven fact. You give these people somewhere to play, these young kids, to go and spend their time and keep them away from the trash out there. they will do that. And you become a model of proacting against crime instead of reacting, spending tens of millions of dollars reacting to crime. Every county's got a choice. They can decide to keep spending money on more jails, more courts, probation officers, or they can come proactive and start giving young people things to do constructive. A place where you can bring people like Kenny Stokes, Ezell Brown, Jeff Key, the football player Garrett from Rockdale County. People that grew up here in neighboring Rockdale County that did right and became successful, and try to get them as role models for our young people instead of those people on the street. Thank you.
Maya Allen, District 3. I had to come up. I know there were some other people. Sorry I jumped in front, but he was talking about the West Side Youth Center, so I'm going to tag along to that. It's not babysitting our kids. It's supporting our kids. And so, again, we implore you to find land. You guys are having meetings behind the scenes, but it's real simple. Find the land. We have the plan, and the plan does include money makers, so it pays for itself. So we're not asking you to fund it fully from the general fund. So take a look at the plan, do your research. Also, we're talking about taxes and our seniors. What you all should be looking into is 65 and older who are being taxed out of their homes, because what you're able to do still does not help them. There needs to be something done, and I think that you all, JDA, IDA, BOC, there's something that you can do. And Mr. Clegg was up here about the trails. Hopefully he can include the sidewalks for the $400,000 that we already have. It would make sense that they're done at the same time. Thank you.
Good evening, Honorables. Elena Sanders. I wasn't intending to speak tonight till we threw some numbers out there about that millage rate, and you know I love numbers. So I just want to put this on the record. 2004 was 10 mills, and we had 75,000 people population. 2008 to 2010 was 10.4 mills, and we had 99,000 people of population. 2019 was 13.43 mills, and we had 111,000 in population. 2021, it went back down to where it was, to the 11.4 mills, and we had 114,000 people. And in 2026, we have 130,000 people. So we know that's an estimate because everybody does not do the census. So your mill's supposed to decrease when you have a population that's increasing. And what Commissioner Henderson was trying to state, which was also explained to us by our county attorney that was here last year, anytime you have an increase in taxes, you have to publicize it. So yes, you may roll back a certain amount of number with smoke and mirrors, but if people's houses are increasing, their assessment of their houses are increasing, if you're putting a mill on top of that, it increases their taxes. So by law, you have to announce that their taxes are increasing. So he was not telling the story, because their taxes will increase because the property values of their homes are increasing. So that's what people are concerned about, because the assessment values of how we assess homes here in Newton County is increasing, which is making their property taxes go high. And 65% of their property taxes is paid by the school, is paid to the school board. So that's what they're concerned about. Moving along, there is an agenda item that's going to be on the planning and zoning, and it's an auto zone that's going to be in our area. I have nothing against an auto zone. It's going to go before the Planning and Zoning Board. It's going to come back to the BOC. We have about 3 or 4 or 5 auto zones in the exact same parameter. Why are we bringing more auto zones? We have to get with our economic development department to stop duplicating the same businesses. That is why Rockdale County's budget is higher than ours, because majority of the people on the west side, they spend their tax dollars in Rockdale County because we don't have anything here that's accessible to us that we want to purchase or sit in a restaurant. So we have to bring the economic development that people want to patronize. And again, to echo my neighbor in regards to babysitting, so I do ask that question because that statement was made by a commissioner that they don't want to babysit kids. So if the other areas have parks and recreation, are we babysitting their kids? There's counties right around the corner who has majority parks. And I went there on a Saturday and they were out there with their parents. So are they babysitting kids? So we need to look at why is it a statement said about the west side of Newton County want to put a park on that side, that the comment comes out that we babysit kids. And if you mention me, I don't have a problem with that because I'm grown and I can say what I want to say like you've always said. But you said that we babysitting our kids, and the majority of people that live on that side are African American.
This time we'll close the public comments and we will go to the commissioner comments. A little differently tonight, we're going to start with Commissioner Long.
Thank you. I think there's been a lot of discussion tonight. And yes, I did say I'm the one, so you can call my name, it's okay. Said that we're not going to be babysitting people's kids at a park. It's not going to be the answer to all, and that's what I meant by that. Everybody always wants to take everything and spin it the way they want to spin it, which is fine. I don't care. So I think that, you know, I am working very hard to help Commissioner Cooper and Chairman Brown, County Manager Brown to find land. But if I'm not appreciated, then I will not help. But I'll be happy to help because I have been helping. I've talked to landowners all week, but I'm not going to continue to be dogged by a group of people that say that we're not doing our jobs. I'm tired of hearing about it. So, but thank you very much.
We have someone speaking, so we need to listen, please. I'm sorry, Commissioner Long, go ahead.
Thank you. And back to our taxes, I know that we're all working very hard on the budget this year, and we'll continue to work on the budget this year. Like I said, values are increasing, and we do have to make sure that if values are increasing, if that increased number is a huge number, then that has to be offset. So I do agree with some of the comments about, you know, the millage not changing and the values going up. That still is a situation where you're increasing the budget. However, every day, like I said, $20 million was requested in one day, and that was not every department in this county of what they want to add to this budget this year. So it was interesting to see that the request was that much. So hopefully we can all work together, which we do a great job of, and getting that budget down to something that we can all live with. And I know you all are committed, and I appreciate your time to help be committed to these projects that we're working on. Thank you.
Commissioner Henderson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. It was first part of last year. I think I had a town hall meeting at Good Hope off 162 in Spring Hill. And one of the items I put on in the files I handed out to everybody was about water, about PFAS. And I've heard during discussion that we did have some PFAS in the water. And when I got there, to my surprise, I had the mayor, I had the water authority man there, and everybody was there, and they were trying to tell the people that were there that it's okay to drink. And during the course of the meeting, I said, well, where can they get a test from? Because my understanding that PFAS stays in your blood system. It causes cancer and other various stuff in you. And nobody want to give a place where they could get blood tests or pay for a blood test, but yet it was all right. Well, I never had thought it was all right. And the reason why I didn't think it was all right, because I'm from around here. And I know sometimes when stuff like that is in our water, and they told me, well, it's in the bottled water. But I was talking about our water that we process, refine, the best tasting water it is. And I still said that the citizens of Newton County need to know where they can take a test for PFAS. Ethylene oxide. Denise, William, myself, and others went to see CNR board, and we went in there and looked at it, and we came out. We said the next day or that evening I had such a bad headache, and I remember telling Sandy, I said, well, they finally got me now. I said, my head about to fall off. And we found out when we met a week later and talking about the same thing, that was part of the symptoms from ethylene oxide. And so I think that somebody said, well, don't worry about it. So you're not a chemist and all that stuff. How can you not worry about it? If you know something is hurting somebody or possibly kill them or give them cancer, when you want to tell them the truth, I want somebody to tell me. But it's okay. But I think eventually it's going to come out that maybe those chemicals have harmed people. And maybe there's few we possibly could save. And I'm hoping that's the case. But at least I would like to know. Guardian Automotive, water that was pollution they put in the water over there, well, guess what? They're giving out settlements now to folks. They're not running around telling that because there's chemicals that is emitting under the earth that when the sun comes out, it goes into people's homes. So I'm hoping that one day we will be more transparent and let the people know what's really going on. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Cooper. Commissioner Mason.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to take, excuse me, the opportunity to announce or re-announce and invite everybody out to our Senior Enrichment Center ribbon cutting. That is going to be at 40 Richards Chapel Road. It's at the corner of Highway 212 and Richards Chapel in Covington, kind of right next door to Denny Dobbs Park. We are excited about this Senior Enrichment Center. It is beautiful. I've had an opportunity to take a glance at it, and it is state of the art. It's amazing. And so we are looking forward to doing the ribbon cutting, the soft opening on this Thursday, and it's going to be at 1:00 p.m. So we want to invite everybody out to the ribbon cutting. They're going to have workshops and classes in this location, education enrichment, resource-oriented programs, and I'm excited. She's sitting in the audience. Dr. McCrae is going to be doing the Memory Cafe for our seniors. Thank you, Dr. McCrae, for what you're going to be investing into our seniors. They are very, very important to us, and we want to make sure that we have resources for them to make sure that as they continue to age gracefully, we are there to support them. So I want to invite everybody out to that ribbon cutting this Thursday, March 19th at 1:00 p.m., 40 Richards Chapel Road, which is on the corner of Highway 212. Look forward to seeing everybody there. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Edwards.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So first thing I want to mention before I forget it is the Solid Waste Management Authority has decided to reopen the Cook Road Convenience Center for those people in basically north of I-20 in Newton County. I know it's District 3, I believe, Mr. Cooper's district. But we have to sell enough hang tags to make that, hopefully that'll stay financially viable. But we have to have those sales to keep it open. I believe it'll be open in the next, I want to say 5 to 6 weeks. So much needed on that side of I-20 and that side of the county, by the way. Remaining on the Solid Waste Management Authority, the Solid Waste Management Authority gets no money from the Board of Commissioners except what the Board of Commissioners voted to give them in a lawsuit settlement about 8 or 9 years ago. So the county is obligated to pay that via the Solid Waste Management Authority. That's the only money. That was a lawsuit settlement from before my time. It happened before my time. I think I voted on it when I got to be a commissioner, but that lawsuit over some property out there at the landfill happened. It has to be paid through the Solid Waste Management Authority, and it's an obligation of the county. So that's the only money that the county sends to the Solid Waste Management Authority. The last thing I have is we've talked a lot about millage rates and home values tonight, and a little on the budget. But the millage rate and the home values are peripheral. It all starts with the budget. You have to have a certain amount of money, whatever that amount is, to run the county. So we've seen an increase just in our first budget session of Commissioner Long mentioned $20 million increase just in our first session reviews. But it all starts with the budget. You decide what it takes to run the county, and then you look at the property values, what they did, and then you set the millage rate. The millage rate is a tool. It is not the start, and the home value is not the start. The budget is the start. We have to sit up here, and we have year after year after year, it's been blood and guts up here. So if I got 1.5 minutes left, so I want to say one other thing. We have I believe it's a 50 as of the end of fiscal year 25. We had a general fund balance of 58 million, I believe is what it was. So it's recommended, and we didn't talk about it tonight with the auditor, but it's recommended that we maintain 4 to 6 months. I believe Brittany prefers 6 or 7 months for emergencies, and that's about what we have, maybe a little more. But we've had to draw that down the last couple of years because of the latest SPLOST did not include a lot of road projects. So we've had to beat that surplus of money down the last couple of years to get some roads paved. So that's why that's come down a little. I'm probably going to see it come down again. But the only reason we have that surplus is open positions that don't get filled. And in my first term, I asked this board to approve a resolution. I believe it was a resolution to where we do not fund at the beginning of the fiscal year. We do not fund positions until they are filled. So we keep that money. That's where the surplus came from. The 58 million, that's where it all came from. So luckily the board supported us in that. We were able to pull that off. And now we're sitting on the surplus we need for our loans and the emergencies that might arise and for our road pavings. So thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I'll ask for a motion now to enter into executive session, and we'll adjourn after the executive session. For the purpose of, we'll enter into executive session for the purpose of litigation.
Second.
All in favor? That was unanimous. Thank you. We need a motion to adjourn. Second. All in favor? Okay, that was unanimous. Good night.